Hello everyone. Thank you for tuning into this video. I have had some requests for a video that shows how to do ruching on a t-shirt. Ruching is basically a fancy term for gathering the fabric. And the reason that it's different from gathering is it usually happens along a seam to create a more fashionable effect on a t-shirt or stretchy type fabric. Today I just have this pant leg that was cut off from a pair of pants that I hemmed, and it has a seam. So I'm going to use this as a sample. It doesn't actually always have to happen on a seam, and oftentimes it's not something that's on a seam. So I'll show two different examples of how to do ruching to create some more dynamic effect in a garment. So I've got some contrast thread so that you can, hopefully it'll show differently and you'll be able to see what I'm doing with this sample here. And it is as long as my arm from the tips of my fingers to my shoulder, and I have it doubled. So twice the length of your arm, and then you double the thread coming through the needle. And a lot of the time what I'll do is I will safety pin the piece to see, how do I want this to look? How is it ultimately going to look? How do I want to distribute the fabric? So I'll go ahead and turn it inside out and just kind of pinch the fabric together on a safety pin. You can kind of get a basic idea for how it's going to look, and then you can mess with it as you're sewing. It doesn't all have to happen on the front end of things. So you've got some gathers there. You can keep the safety pin in, or you can add a second safety pin if you really just want to do more of a length on your seam. But we'll just go with this for now, and I'm going to keep the safety pin in. I always sew it from the inside, but you can have the outside turned out to see what you're doing as you go. And certainly with a t-shirt, this is a little bit easier than with a pair of pants. So just putting my knot in there, and if you saw how I did that, I have a little knot on the end of my thread, and then I just poked, I'll undo it so I can redo it and show you again. So I just poked through the threads there, and I'm creating a second knot to really keep that stable. And then I just bring the needle up through these gathers, just as I did the safety pin, and it can really be that simple. Although this is going to be tricky to push through because it's a shorter needle, but I am going to try, hopefully not injure myself too badly. And there we go. So that's the first pass. And you can see, hopefully, that there are, spots where the thread is coming through, and you just tighten that down, and then you can look at it from the outside and see, do you want to, create more than that? Do you like the way that looks? I like the way that looks. But if I didn't, I could certainly fold it more, maybe take it out and go back. But also, so let's say we like this, we're done. We're going to just come right back down through to really make sure. And if this is really bulky fabric, which this is, I'm just using the table to push my needle through so I don't injure my fingers here, which it is, I might even go one more time up through the gathers. And then I'm going to make a knot. And the way that I do that is I poke up through the fabric with my needle, but not all the way. So I've got needle about halfway sunk through the fabric, and I wrap once, I wrap twice with the thread, keeping that wrapped thread as close to the fabric and the base of where the needle's coming through as possible, pulling the needle through, tightening, and then I just do one little stitch through to kind of hide a tail so that you're not cutting so close to the knot. And that is the finished look of the ruching. So that's like the basic idea, and I encourage you to play with that. I'll show you how to do it where there is no seam, so we can play around with that too. Let me just go ahead and make another knot here on my thread to get us started. All right. And so this you can take, just let's say this is the hem of your t-shirt, and you just, or like a spot on your t-shirt where you want to have some ruching happen, and it's just the same basic idea, although you might need to do something slightly different to hide the thread or the knot. You know, you can do this tight or you can do this kind of loose. You don't have to have it really super tight, although another thing, you know, to consider if you're not making it a really tight ruche is how do you hide the fabric or the thread in the fabric. So I'm going to go for a kind of loose ruche, and we'll see if we can hide the thread in there. I got that knot going there. And there's one pass. So I'm not going to just go through it like an accordion style, because that's going to help me to hide the thread a little better. Got that safety pin getting in my way a little bit there. I'm going to take it, maybe I'm not going to take it out yet. All right, so that's come through all of the layers, and I'm just going to look on this side. I can see that thread a little bit, but since I'm using contrast thread, that is going to happen. If you were using a thread that matched a little better, you could get away with it. And I don't know if you can tell from the video, there are these little iotas of the red thread coming through. We'll take that safety pin out, and you could just leave it like that. That's kind of a looser ruche than what we've got going here, super tight. This is a technique, this ruching, you could use it on the shoulder of a t-shirt. You could use it on, like I said, around the hem of a t-shirt. Anywhere really on the shirt that you want to create this effect. I encourage you to be creative with it and try some different things. Always take a second pass up through to secure your work and make a knot, and you're good to go. And that is basic ruching 101. Thanks for watching.